The call came at 2:17 in the morning, but no one answered. Lying on the cold emergency room bed, staring at the white ceiling tiles above me, I pressed my phone against my ear and listened to the endless ringing. First my older brother, then my mother, then my sister, then my father. Ring, ring, ring. Voicemail. I tried again, nothing. The nurse standing nearby gave me a sympathetic smile. "Someone coming?" she asked gently. I swallowed hard. Yeah, I lied. But deep down, I already knew the truth. No one was coming. The pain in my side was sharp enough to make me wince every time I moved. Earlier that evening, I had collapsed in the parking lot outside my apartment after ignoring severe stomach pain for nearly 2 days. A neighbor had found me on the ground and called an ambulance. Now I sat alone in a hospital gown, scared, exhausted, and realizing something painful I had spent years refusing to admit. My family loved me when it was convenient. Whenever they needed help, I was the first person they called. Need money? Call Ethan. Need someone to babysit? Call Ethan. Need a ride to the airport? Call Ethan. Need help moving furniture? Ethan will do it. I always showed up. Always. Yet somehow, when I needed someone, there was never anybody available. The silence from my phone felt louder than the machines beeping around me. Then another thought crossed my mind. I hesitated. It felt ridiculous, embarrassing, even. But I opened my contacts and found one name. Sarah, my coworker. Not my girlfriend, not family, just someone I worked with. We'd spent 3 years sharing office space, coffee breaks, and occasional lunches. She was kind, funny, the type of person who remembered everyone's birthday. Still, calling her at 2 in the morning felt wrong. I almost put my phone away. Instead, I pressed call. The phone rang once, twice. Then she answered immediately. "Ethan?" Her voice sounded sleepy but concerned. "Are you okay?" The concern in her voice nearly broke me. I hadn't even spoken yet. My throat tightened. "I'm at County Memorial." There was a pause. "What happened?" "I don't know yet. They're running tests." Another pause. Then her voice became firm. "I'm coming." "No, Sarah, it's fine. I'm coming." "You don't have to." "Ethan." The way she said my name stopped me. "I'm already putting my shoes on." The line disconnected. I stared at my phone. Part of me assumed she'd change her mind. Who drives across town at 2 in the morning for a coworker? 32 minutes later, she walked through the emergency room doors carrying a sweatshirt, a phone charger, and a bag of snacks. I nearly cried, not because of the pain, because someone had actually shown up. Sarah sat beside me for 6 straight hours. She spoke with nurses, updated paperwork when I couldn't focus, fetched water, made terrible jokes to keep me distracted, and when the doctor finally returned with results, she was still there. Acute appendicitis. Emergency surgery. I remember feeling panic flood my chest. I had never undergone surgery before. The doctor explained risks, procedures, recovery time. Everything became a blur. Then Sarah reached over and squeezed my hand. A simple gesture, yet somehow it grounded me. "You're going to be okay," she said. For the first time that night, I believed it. Before they wheeled me into surgery, I checked my phone one last time. Still nothing from my family. Not one missed call. Not one text. Sarah noticed my expression. She didn't ask questions. She just walked beside the gurney until hospital staff stopped her. Then she smiled. "I'll be here when you wake up." I nodded. Honestly, I wasn't sure she would be. People make promises all the time. Most don't keep them. When I opened my eyes several hours later, the room was dimly lit. My throat was dry. My body felt heavy. The first thing I saw was Sarah asleep in a chair beside my bed. Her head rested awkwardly against the wall. An untouched coffee sat on the table next to her. She'd stayed all night for me, a coworker. The realization hit harder than any pain medication ever could. Over the next few days, things became even more confusing. My family eventually called. Not because they were worried, because they finally noticed the missed calls. My brother sounded annoyed. "Why were you calling so late?" I stared at the phone. Late. I'd been headed into emergency surgery. My mother's response wasn't much better. "Oh my goodness. You should have texted." As if a text would have magically changed everything. Not one family member visited. Not one. Every day, however, Sarah appeared. Before work, after work, sometimes during lunch. She brought books, homemade soup, fresh clothes from my apartment. After coordinating with my landlord, one afternoon I finally asked the question that had been bothering me. "Why are you doing all this?" She looked genuinely confused. "What do you mean? You don't owe me anything." Sarah smiled softly. "Maybe not." "Then why?" She looked out the hospital window for a moment. "My dad got sick when I was 16. I listened quietly. "We spent weeks in hospitals." Her voice softened. "Most people disappeared." I could hear the old hurt hiding beneath the words. "But one neighbor kept showing up." She smiled at the memory. "Every day." "What did they do?" "Nothing extraordinary." She shrugged. "They sat with us." I nodded. "Sometimes that's extraordinary." Sarah laughed. "Exactly." Then she looked directly at me. I remember what that meant to my family. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Then she added something that stayed with me forever. "People don't always remember who promised to help." Her eyes met mine. "They remember who actually showed up." After I was discharged, recovery wasn't easy. Living alone made everything harder. Simple tasks became challenges. Taking out trash, buying groceries, getting prescriptions. Without asking, Sarah continued helping. Meanwhile, my family acted as if nothing significant had happened. A few weeks later came my mother's birthday dinner. The entire family gathered at my parents' house. I almost didn't go, but guilt won. As usual, the evening started normally enough. Small talk, food, laughter. Then my sister casually mentioned my surgery. "Oh yeah," she said. "Glad you're better." That was it. 4 words. After everything, something inside me finally snapped. Not dramatically, not angrily, just quietly. I looked around the table. These were the people I'd spent my entire life sacrificing for. The people I dropped everything for countless times. Yet when I was scared and alone in a hospital bed, none of them had come. None. I called all of you that night. The room went silent. My mother's smile faded. My brother shifted uncomfortably. Nobody responded. I called every single one of you. Still silence. Then my father cleared his throat. It was late. Late. The same excuse. The same indifference. For the first time in my life, I stopped making excuses for them. I know. The room felt heavy. I just thought maybe one of you would have called back. No one knew what to say, because there was nothing to say. The truth was sitting at the table with us, uncomfortable, undeniable, and heartbreaking. That night I drove home feeling strangely calm, not angry, not bitter, just awake. For years I'd been chasing love from people who treated me like an option. Meanwhile, genuine kindness had been standing right in front of me. The following Saturday, I invited Sarah to lunch. Halfway through the meal, she laughed at one of my jokes and nearly spilled her drink. Watching her smile, I realized something. The best people aren't always the ones we're related to. Sometimes they're the ones who choose us. Over the next year, our friendship deepened, then became something more. Slowly, naturally, neither of us rushed. We simply kept showing up for each other, day after day, problem after problem, victory after victory. When my car broke down, she was there. When she lost a beloved aunt, I was there. When work became overwhelming, we supported each other. No grand gestures, no dramatic speeches, just consistent kindness. The kind that changes lives. 2 years later, I found myself standing in a park overlooking a small lake. My hands trembled. A ring box sat inside my pocket. Sarah stood beside me, admiring the sunset. She looked exactly the same as she had the night she rushed to the hospital. Except now I understood what made her beautiful. It wasn't her smile, or her eyes, or anything visible. It was her heart. A heart that ran toward people when everyone else walked away. I took a deep breath. then dropped to one knee. Her eyes widened. Tears appeared instantly. And before I could finish asking the question, she was already crying and laughing at the same time. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." A year later, during our wedding reception, I looked around the room filled with family, friends, coworkers, and neighbors. Then my eyes found Sarah's. My wife. The woman who answered a phone call nobody else answered. The woman who showed up when everyone else disappeared. The woman who taught me that family isn't always defined by blood. Sometimes family is the person who hears fear in your voice at 2 in the morning and says, "I'm coming." No hesitation, no excuses, no conditions. Just love in its purest form. Looking back now, I sometimes think about that night in the emergency room. The loneliness, the fear, the heartbreak. At the time, it felt like one of the worst nights of my life. But it wasn't. It was the night that revealed who truly cared. The night that stripped away illusions. The night that introduced me to the person who would become my greatest blessing. My family ignored my calls. That part still hurts. But if they had answered, I might never have discovered something far more powerful. The people who truly love you don't always share your last name. Sometimes they're the ones who choose to run toward your pain as if it were their own. And when you find someone like that, hold on tightly, because kindness like that doesn't just change a moment. It changes an entire life.